Hi everyone, and welcome to today's quick fix. We're talking about avoiding muddied watercolours and keeping your colours really fresh and vibrant. So the first thing to check is making sure you have clean water as often as possible. Keep it refreshed, or some people like to have 2 or possibly 3 jars of water either side that they can use. One to clean off the brush with the paint that's just gone, and then dip it into the fresh one to get cleaner water. That will have a huge effect on keeping your colours fresh and vibrant. Then the brushes. I've talked in the past about how cleaning your brush has to be quite a thorough operation, because once you've put it in the water, if you blot it on your paper, if this had colour on it, you would find there's still quite a lot of colour lurking down in the base of the bristles there. So it's really important to have your bit of kitchen roll to keep blotting, keep checking that your brush is really clean and free, because of course if you had just finished using some dark grey and wanted to go over and start painting in yellow and you still had a little bit of grey lurking in the brush there, you'd be in all kinds of trouble and you'd get a really murky yellow. So the first thing is getting yourself set up with good kit, clean water as much as possible, piece of kitchen roll as well. Painted this cadmium yellow and permanent rose mix with a view to talking about at what time in terms of the drying process is good and bad to paint over the top of your paints. But let's just look at putting 2 colours together in general. So I'll just repeat the process. So I've got cadmium yellow, and I've chosen this on purpose because it is quite a strong colour. It's an opaque watercolour. The word cadmium is the clue you want to look for. But I'm painting wet on dry, even though it's fairly thick, and then I'm just going to blot my brush off, and that looks pretty clean to me. Just about all right. And then I'm going to pick up some permanent rose. Now, I need to be very careful that I don't now go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over that. I want to just get the action of the brush down there. Working wet and wet watercolours at an even level of wetness allows for blends to happen on their own. But one of the big problems of muddying watercolours is when you start to fiddle about and poke your watercolour, to try and push it in directions you want it to go. And I chose these 2 colours because they're quite bright and bold, and they sort of feel quite like they're slightly fighting against each other. And I want to sort of just demonstrate. A nervous watercolour artist might be like, oh, I want a nice smoother blend. I'm just going to try and just sort of poke it about a bit. Oh, and then suddenly we're getting a weird kind of band of strange, like pinky orange down the middle. Okay, maybe I'll try and draw it down. Oh no, that's not working. Maybe if I clean my brush off and just try, and then the more water you start to add, you can see you just start to almost like lift colour off the page, and you've got yourself in a bit of a pickle, and that results in quite a sort of muddied watercolour in the middle there. Muddying doesn't just mean it sort of ends up looking like a sludge colour. We have sort of lost a lot of the charm of the blend of the flattened colours, and we've also just sort of started messing about with it. But it also just means when it just looks like the human hand has had too much input there. Now this is probably a good time now to look at this one, because the shine has sort of left the watercolour paper, so it looks like it's dry. But if I started to bring in some orange onto here, it wasn't dry actually. It's really, really important to, if you're going to be layering over the top of watercolour, to make sure that it has dried fully. And when the shine goes off, you think, oh yeah, that's brilliant, but there's still an awful lot of moisture in the paper. And so by adding a colour in, you can then be in danger of allowing that to bleed when you maybe want it to go really nice and precise. So do sort of be patient with your colours, allow them to dry fully. When the page is sort of like this, when it's got no shine on it, so the water at least has seeped in, this is a good time to use a little bit of a heat tool, either a heat gun or a hairdryer if you really want to speed up the process. But in doing that, we've sort of disturbed the blend because it wasn't completely finished, and we've sort of dulled down our orange colour because it's seeped in as well and isn't just sat nicely on the top. So the main tricks for avoiding muddying your watercolours: have clean water and really clean off your brushes so you don't contaminate the colours in your palette. And then once you start, just allow the water to do its thing. Don't feel the need to push and fiddle and poke your paintings, just let them do their thing. And then when you're wanting to layer up some colour over the top, really make sure that your piece is 100% dry, either by using a heat tool or just being patient and giving it a bit of a rest. I hope that was helpful, and thanks so much for watching.